The new Osmo Action 6 camera from DJI takes everything that made the Action 5 Pro great, and it adds some really impressive new features. Features that we've never seen on an action camera before. After testing it out, here are the 20 things that I absolutely love about this camera. And hopefully when you're done watching this video, you'll have a better idea if this should be your next camera. So here's a list of everything that I'm going to be covering in this video about the Osmo Action 6. Now, if there's something that you want to know after you're done watching this video, just let me know down in the comments, because I'll be making additional content about this camera, so I'll be sure to answer them in future videos. Now, first of all, let's talk about the two new things when it comes to hardware. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's pretty unique. So first of all, we now have an action camera with a variable aperture, f2.0 to f4.0. You can choose to have it fixed at f2.8, or you can choose between 5 different options of variable aperture range. And this gives you more opportunities to capture great looking video in low lighting conditions. The camera will automatically choose the best aperture between the range that you choose. And then also it does have this starburst option, which will give you a 6-point starburst effect if you have the right lighting. This is the first time that we've ever seen a variable aperture in an action camera, and it really does change everything. You can shoot bright scenes without blowing them out, and you can still get beautiful depth in low light. It's almost like having a little cinema lens in your pocket. Another new feature of the Action 6 is that it has a square 1/1.1 inch sensor. And this means that the camera captures equal vertical and horizontal information. So there are so many benefits to having a square sensor over a conventional rectangular one. Number one, you're going to get more light into the sensor because you're utilizing more of the real estate of it, and so you're going to have better low light, and this camera definitely has that. But the other benefit is when you're cropping into different aspect ratios, like if you're doing 9/16 or 16/9 or 4/3, you're not going to lose any resolution because you're not actually cutting off any part of the image. And so that's one thing that we have never seen before, and I think it's going to be the standard going forward when it comes to action cameras, because it makes such a huge difference, especially how people make content now, because they want to record one thing and then be able to cut it into different sizes. And I think that square sensor is key for that. This is a practical evolution, and it fits the many ways that people post their content these days. Now, since we're talking about it, this camera has 13.5 stops of dynamic range. So in high contrast scenes with bright brights and dark shadows, you can capture both lighting conditions at the same time with the Action 6. No more having to sacrifice blowing out the highlights or missing any of the details in the shadows. Now, this is not new when compared to the Action 5 Pro, but when you combine it with the larger sensor and then the variable aperture, you have the best low light action camera on the market. So here's just one example of the differences and the improvements on the Action 6 over the Action 5 Pro. If you look on the right-hand side is the Action 6, left-hand side is the Action 5 Pro, and you can see in the shadows here of this evergreen tree, it's definitely more exposed, better balance overall in the scene. The dynamic range is much improved on the Action 6. And then when you pull over to the left here, I want to go ahead and pause it so you guys can really look at the differences between the dynamic range, you know, with the snow and then the brights and that evergreen in the background, and then you look at the shadows and the evergreen in the foreground. You can really see the difference when you put these side by side. Now let's go back to the scene here. I had both of these cameras set to auto white balance, but you'll notice that the Action 6 is quite a bit warmer than the Action 5 Pro. So I need to do some more testing here and find out why there's such a big difference here in color temperature. Concerning the physical design of the camera, the build quality feels very premium the second that you pick it up. The magnesium alloy shell not only looks tough, but it also helps dissipate heat. So your 4K clips stay stable and your camera doesn't overheat mid-shoot. Now, since it's below freezing right now where I live, I haven't really had the opportunity to do an overheating test, but I'm certain that the forums will tell us very soon if the Osmo Action 6 does have any overheating issues. The Action 6 is waterproof to 20 meters or about 65 feet with no bulky housing required. That's really impressive, and if you're a snorkeler or a scuba diver or any type of water sports enthusiast, this camera would be a great tool to have. But speaking from experience, I would definitely invest in a floating handle or use a tether at all times, because wet hands and action cameras just don't mix. Trust me. The battery system stands up to cold temperatures, DJI advertises a 4-hour battery life in normal conditions, recording at 1080p. But I ran a test recording at 4K, 30 frames per second in 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and I was able to get 2 hours and 55 minutes before the battery ran out. So even in freezing temperatures, it keeps recording for more time than most people will ever need it to, which is perfect for winter sports, northern climates, or anyone filming outdoors when most batteries would tap out early. Having both a front and a back screen that enables you to adjust all of the settings makes framing yourself for vlogs or checking exposure and harsh light effortless. The displays are bright even in sunny conditions, and they're responsive and very easy to navigate. Next, let's talk about the software on the Osmo Action 6 when it comes to modes that has video, photo, super night, portrait, subject tracking, slow motion, and then time-lapse or hyperlapse. Now I'm going to cover these in detail in another video, but I do need to mention one thing that I really love on this camera, being a solo content creator, and that is subject tracking. The Action 5 Pro has this as well, and it's where you can set the camera to keep you in the frame as you move around. It looks like you're basically using a gimbal that has subject tracking, but the camera doesn't actually move at all. It's really cool and I just love it. The downside about it, however, is when you're using it, the maximum resolution is 2.7K, but most of the time, that's going to be enough. Audio has always been an afterthought on action cameras, so how did DJI do with the redesign on the Action 6? All right, kind of a windy, blustery day today, so it's a good day to check out the wind noise reduction on the Action 6. I'm comparing it to the Action 5 Pro. So here we have both cameras set to standard wind noise reduction. And I'm not even going to test the off wind noise reduction because you guys wouldn't even be able to hear me because of the rumble. But here's the Action 5 Pro with standard wind noise reduction. And here is the Osmo Action 6 with standard wind noise reduction. Now let's check out how the high setting sounds. All right, here we have both cameras set to high as far as wind noise reduction. Here's the Action 5 Pro, and the wind's coming up right now, so it's a good test. And then here's the Action 6 set to high wind noise reduction. Now the Action 6 does have something called smart wind noise reduction, but I'm going to tell you right now, there really is no difference between smart and high. So I'm not really quite sure what that's for. Maybe it's for, high movement scenarios, like if you're like rushing down a hill or something like that. But when you're standing still, there's no difference between the high setting and the smart setting for wind noise on the Action 6. Now let's see what it sounds like when you're using an external microphone. All right, so now I'm using the DJI Mic Mini and I have it connected to the Action 6 Pro, and you can tell it's definitely much better. I have a little wind muff on there, so that removes all of the wind noise. So if you have an external microphone, use it. If you don't have one, get it, because the audio quality is very important when you're making videos. If you're doing a vlog or anything like that, or an interview or something, you gotta have an external microphone on these cameras. Yes, the wind noise reduction is improved, but it's still not as good as using one of these. The directional microphones and the wind reduction are surprisingly solid, capturing clear voice even with background noise. With the Osmo Action 6, you can now connect 2 DJI microphone transmitters directly to the camera. No receivers, no cables, and that is such a clean setup for vloggers or interviews. It saves weight, it saves space, and setup time. All the little things that really matter, especially when you're a solo shooter.
We elves try to stick to the 4 main food groups: candy, candy canes, candy corn, 1 year, and syrup. Membership in the Jelly of the Month Club.
Let's talk about color. The Action 6 has the ability to record in 10-bit D-Log M color profile, and this gives you professional level control in post-production. With 10-bit color, you can push the grade hard without losing any detail or creating banding, and it matches perfectly with DJI's drones and other cameras. Low light performance has taken a huge leap forward. The combination of the wide f2.0 aperture and the larger sensor brings out details that older action cameras could never touch. Street lights, campfires, night rides, everything just looks cleaner and more natural, especially if you're using the Super Night mode. All right, it's time to check out the Super Night mode, comparing the Osmo Action 5 Pro and the Osmo Action 6. And we're just checking to see if there's any difference in image quality between these two cameras when it's dark out. Okay, this is really impressive. So look at the stabilization difference between these two cameras. Like the left-hand side, it's all over the place. The image is muddled, like there's no detail. It's kind of like there's so much artifact. Same thing here. Look at the vehicles. Look at the difference between the vehicles. The left-hand side, it's kind of blurry and out of focus. It's more crisp on the Osmo Action 6. The lighting is better. Same thing here. Look at the mailbox. It's kind of blurry on the left. It looks great on the right. And then here again, stabilization. And it's just, there's so much artifact in that Action 5 Pro, and the Osmo 6 is so much better. I didn't realize how much better it was until I did this test in low light conditions. Now this one is a lifesaver, especially for someone like myself. Even if you forget your SD card at home, you can still record about an hour and a half of high quality footage straight to the internal memory. It has 50 gigabytes of internal storage. And that's perfect for spontaneous shoots, backup recording, or when you just don't want to swap cards in the field. The stabilization when you have this camera set to horizon steady feels like witchcraft. You can basically flip the camera completely upside down and the horizon doesn't move at all. It's perfect for intense motion, things like mountain biking or snow skiing or off-road motorsports, or strapping it onto a drone for gimbal level smoothness. If you're going to be keeping your camera relatively upright and you just want to smooth out the bumps, Rocksteady 5.0 is the king of stabilization in action cameras. It's a good balance of not being too floaty and also not being too robotic. And the result is smooth footage that still feels natural and alive, like you're right there in the moment. Okay, one thing I want you to really pay attention to is I'm going to ride around on some bumpy areas here. Watch how much the camera shakes, but then check out the footage and see how smooth it is. Like, the stabilization on this camera is so good, and it doesn't look fake. It looks natural, but just look at how much it shakes around. It's pretty cool. Now I'm going to be doing some comparisons in another video, which is going to demonstrate more clearly what I'm talking about here. With all of the features that the Osmo Action 6 has, I think the stabilization alone is the reason to get it. You never have to worry about how you hold the camera, or if it's mounted correctly, or if it shifts around at all. For example, on my ATV, here I had it set to rock steady, but with every time I hit a bump, the handlebar mount shifted a little bit. So my horizon got really tilted. Now switch it to horizon steady. Okay, I'm out here the next day, so I want to show you how good the horizon steady is. So yesterday I had it set to rock steady plus, and it was very stable, but this continued to just kind of drift down, and so my horizon was all crooked even though the footage was smooth. But let's leave it like this and let's see what the footage looks like now. Just so you can see, I'm going to turn this off, so you can see how crooked this is, but check out the footage. It's perfectly, like, horizon is awesome. So I think this is just such a great feature to be able to have that consistent level horizon. Now, one thing I do want to mention, you do need quite a bit of good lighting for the horizon steady to work if you're going to be flipping the camera upside down and stuff like that. Like if you're just doing a little bit of shifting like this, like if you're downhill skiing or motocross or something like that, it's going to be fine, you know, no matter what the lighting conditions are. But if you're flipping your camera upside down and it's dark, like the lighting is not good, it's gonna look awful. So here's an example. I did it in Menards. I was in the store, it was pretty dark in there around the Christmas trees, and I just, you know, turned the camera upside down and back around, and it just looks so bad. Like, you do need adequate lighting for horizon steady to work, so just keep that in mind. Now this thing is ready to roll almost instantly. As soon as you hit the power button, it turns on and it's ready to go. Now that might not sound like much, but that speed can mean the difference between catching the moment and missing it completely. Now, of course, you can always set the camera to where you just click on the record button and it's going to turn on and start recording. And then when you hit the stop button, the camera is going to automatically turn off after 3 seconds. And that's a really great feature to have if you want to save battery power. You can adjust the texture and the noise reduction. Now, texture is basically sharpness. I'm not sure why the companies are changing the name of this. Maybe sharpness has become a bad word. I don't know. But as in all action cameras that have the ability to adjust these settings, I always set both of these to the lowest that they go. I don't want my camera making those choices for me. Those are things that I'd like to adjust when I'm doing my post-processing, because typically your camera will overdo those things. Another feature that allows you to be more creative on the Osmo Action 6 is that you can add various film tone effects, basically color effects that you can add to your footage. And you can choose from 6 different options, and you can choose a subtle percentage, or you can be more aggressive with that filter. I touched on this a little bit already, but if you already shoot with DJI drones or maybe the Osmo Pocket or something like that, the color science is identical, which means footage from all of your DJI gear blends seamlessly. If you're a content creator and you already use DJI gear, the Action 6 footage will fit like a glove, and that makes it a lot easier when you're editing. Flipping the camera vertically, and it just knows. There's no settings, there's no menu dive, it switches automatically, which makes creating reels, shorts, and TikToks totally effortless. DJI clearly had creators in mind with this feature. All right, let's talk about a few negatives. Even though I raved about this camera throughout this video, there are some things I'd like to see improved. First of all, let's talk about this white balance issue that I had the other day where the Action 6 was quite a bit warmer than the Action 5 Pro. So I went back today, I did that same test, and I got different results. Okay, I had to come back here today to check out this white balance issue that I had yesterday where it was showing the Action 6 was much warmer, like 500 Kelvin warmer than the Action 5 Pro. But now today, when I check them out, they're both measuring at 5100 Kelvin. So I don't know what was going on yesterday, but today it's perfectly fine. They are equal. So I don't know if that was a one-time issue or if it was a fluke or if it's gonna keep happening, but I haven't had it happen since. So maybe there's a white balance issue, maybe there isn't. Time will tell. Secondly, low light stabilization. So much better than the Action 5 Pro, like way better, but it still struggles in those really dark areas. And I get it, it's an action camera. It's gonna continue to struggle. I don't think we're ever gonna have perfect stabilization in dark areas, but at least it's improved from the Action 5 Pro. And then also the low light dynamic range is improved as well. So again, it's not perfect, but it is quite a bit better. Now, the horizon balancing is a feature that's on this camera. It was on the Action 5 Pro. It's a stabilization feature. It doesn't work, you guys. It's not good. Don't use it. Use Horizon Steady. Horizon Steady is awesome. It's my second favorite thing about this camera. And if you want to keep your horizon steady, use Horizon Steady, okay? Forget horizon balancing. I think they can just take that off of there. One thing I'd like to see on a future version of this camera is face metering, like face priority. So this is a great vlogging camera, right? You can use this as a vlogging camera, and I think a lot of people would appreciate it if it would meter for the face all of the time. I think that's something that could easily be added. Like maybe they could even add it with a firmware update, but I guess we'll see. I think that's a simple ask, right? And then finally, concerning hardware, like right now you can mount the camera by itself on these magnetic mounting plates, and it's great. It's an awesome system. I love it. It's so easy to remove it, put it back on, and it's a very strong magnet. Your camera's not going anywhere. But when you want to mount it vertically, you have to buy that extra housing. So if I want to mount this camera vertically, I can't. So I'm hoping maybe in the future we'll have those mounting holes on the side of the camera as well. And I don't know if that can happen because, you know, you have to have the battery door on one side and then you have to have the USB-C on the other side. But I'd like to see it be able to mount the camera by itself vertically. So I know it's a small thing, but it really is. I think it's something that's really important, especially for people that are doing a lot of vertical format videos now. So the bottom line, this camera is so much better than the Action 5 Pro, like way, way better. It still has some opportunities for improvement, but I think the low light capabilities, the stabilization, the horizon steady is so good. The battery life and the internal storage, those are 2 bonus things. So Great camera if you're looking for a vlogging camera or a second camera to have, or a camera just to put in your pocket and take on family vacations or your adventures or whatever. I really don't think you're going to be disappointed. So that's my list so far after using this camera for a couple of weeks. As you can see, the DJI Osmo Action 6 is not just another incremental update. It's a serious step forward for creators who want pro-level control in an action camera form. Between the variable aperture, the built-in storage, the long battery life, and the unified DJI workflow, it feels like they finally nailed that all-in-one creator tool. Now, if you want to put it on your Christmas list or get it for someone that you love, there is a link in the video description. And yes, it is available in the United States right now. So if you found value in this video, click on that thumbs up on your way out, subscribe for more deep dives, and let me know in the comments, what other things do you want to know about the Osmo Action 6? Thank you so much for watching the entire video today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.